cook and soften up, and as the vegetables soften up, we're going to be able to puree them in our food processor. Well, today I'm going to make the best tomato sauce which can be used for pizza and pasta. So this is my pizza, pasta, tomato sauce. Really, you've got to check this out. Please stick around because I got so many tips to share with you. You're going to want to learn every one of them. Definitely you want to comment on it. Let me know what you think about. Maybe share some of your private sauces that you like to make. We can talk about that as well. Also, please subscribe. We need you to subscribe because you want to see all of my videos, and I want to let you know when every one comes out. So much more to share. Be sure you like us, and definitely, again, we love to see your comments, and I'd love to respond to you. So I'm Chef Don McMillan. Here's how I make the best tomato sauce for pizza and pasta. Well, look at these vegetables that I have here. I'm going to put these into my pasta sauce. Check this out. I've got some bell peppers, garlic, onions, celery, carrots. Yes, carrots. Can you believe that? Carrots going into a pasta sauce? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but this is going to add such a wonderful value, a texture and a taste, okay? Olive oil, fresh herbs. I have some fresh oregano and fresh basil. I also have some tomato sauce, tomato paste, and some chopped tomatoes. Now these are in the can, and they're perfectly good to use. If you want to use fresh, I suggest that you do that as well, but I have all of this to put it together. So let's go ahead and combine these ingredients. Let me show you how I cut up the vegetables before I put them in the pot, so when they do cook, they're going to make a perfect marinara sauce, or we're going to show you how to put them in a blender and make a great tomato sauce. This is going to be a great recipe that you can save, to share. Let's get it started. I'm ready. So I have a nice pot to make my sauce. This is called a sauce pot. I'm going to add into it a little bit of olive oil. I want to get a little bit on the bottom of the pot to cover it. That's fine. I'm going to put my heat on, and I'm going to turn it up to just low for now. Okay, let me turn it down just a little bit. I'll turn it up a little bit later when I want to, because let's talk about the vegetables that are going into it. I mentioned I'm going to do carrots, okay? Why am I going to do carrots? Well, first of all, carrots are already in the tomato sauces that you buy commercially. It's a wonderful vegetable. It adds great texture, it adds great color, and it has a nice sugar content. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that flavor that is just going to make our sauce ever so perfect. So how do I get my carrots ready? I have a peeler, and with the peeler it has two blades, right? One same right-handed and left-handed. So instead of just peeling in one direction, you definitely want to peel in each direction. So we're going back and forth by just moving the carrot in this manner. And look at that, we peel the carrot in half the amount of time. Now I do not use the ends of the carrots, so I'm going to cut those off like this and like that. Let's put that into our little scrap bowl over here. Turn this down just a notch. And I'm going to divide my carrot into half. So I put my knife right there until it touches the board, push down on the top, and look at that, the carrot is divided into half. Put the flat side on the cutting board and divide it again by just cutting strips just in this manner. Now, when you hold the knife correctly, like I am, 4 fingers there and your thumb on the bolt, we can actually go and cut the carrot from one end to the other. Using this type of a knife or a French knife, I'm actually going to divide my work in half again by pushing them together like that, and look at this. It's so easy. So now I'm cutting the carrots in 1/4 the time. I peeled it in half the time, and now I'm dicing it in a half the time. So now I'm going to take these vegetables and place that into our saute pot and saute them really good. And then the next addition is going to be celery. So with the celery, sometimes on the outside of the stalks, you see that there's a little bit of a string. I see sometimes people actually take a knife and peel the strings off. I'd like to just take that same peeler I used earlier and then just peel those strings right off. I remember when I was living in California and I had a next door neighbor come in and visit. They always like to come in the kitchen. And when she saw me do this, she started to cry. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, usually people don't cry until I start cutting onions. She said, you don't understand. I love celery, but I hate peeling all those strings from the celery. And so, since I've been married for 7 years, I've been cooking without celery, and you just saved my life. She started to cry. She said, I wish I didn't do this 7 years ago, because it was just so easy to do. So, if I can save your life by peeling some celery, I'm happy to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is to cut the celery in half like that, and then right here in the back, from the inside out, I make strips. I do that because I want to dice, and when we make this sauce, we want a dice in the sauce so that it cooks up more quickly. And then of course, it's great when you're using it as a marinara, or we can use it and puree it and incorporate it all in one. Let's take a look in our pot just for a second. I don't want anything to burn. I put the carrots in there first because they actually take a little bit longer to cook as well. But they're doing good. All right, let's get them happy. So now with our celery, we're going to do the same thing, put it together, and then just go like this. So you saw my way I hold the hand. This is the way I hold the vegetables. I call it a monster grip. The knife rotates on my knuckles. The point of the knife stays on the cutting board. And we just go back like that. You won't be able to go this fast in the beginning, but you certainly will be able to pick up speed as you get along. I had to learn to do this working on a ship and a yacht, so I had to move back and forth. I rotated from one foot to the other foot, so I had to keep my balance. And here I am cutting up and going from one foot, and I'm waiting, and the food is just rolling from one end to the other. So good thing I could walk and chew gum at the same time, I tell you. All right, celery in there. Now I did put some of the celery leaves. They have just as much flavor, so don't leave them out. They're a wonderful addition. And I do use a bench scraper. It's a lot easier than using your knife. Sometimes you prevent yourself from getting cut as well, and that's important. Okay, here's our onion. Let me show you how to dice an onion perfectly. I'm going to put my knife right here at the root and just cut part of that off, leaving that part there. And I'm putting this over here with the flour. Cut that part off. Put that in the pot. And then you see the root there. We're going to put our knife right through the center. Put your hand on top and just push down like that. Remove the outside 2 layers of onion skin like this. The other one too. These don't cook up very well, so I don't put them in my sauce, or even when I'm making a stock, I don't put them in there. Okay, now there's the root. An invisible line on this side of the root. Vertical slices from the point where at the line, and it goes back this way. Just in that manner. Turn it a quarter turn. Again, monster grip, firm grip on your knife. And just slice down until you get to that invisible line. Flip it over, cut around, throw away the root. It already did its job. We'll do that once again, an invisible line here. A series of slices vertically. The root is holding the onion together. So we go back a quarter turn and more vertical slices down till we get to that line. Flip it over, cut around, and we're done. So let's go ahead and put these onions into our pot. As you can see, we're making a lot of sauce because, as I told you earlier, you can make this ahead of time, and you certainly could freeze it, refrigerate it, and of course share it. All right, let me give this a stir. So here's our root vegetables that are in there: carrots, celery, and onions. Okay, I can turn up the heat just a little bit, and I'm going to put in there a little more olive oil. Doing wonderful. Now, we have some more vegetables to do. I have here some peppers. Now, these are not hot peppers. They are very mild peppers, and I want to go ahead and dice those up as well. When you're making your sauce, if perhaps there's something you don't like, I would suggest that you leave it out. But I'm always looking at layering on the flavors. So by adding these wonderful vegetables, the flavors are just going to be so great, and it'll be just a wonderful marinara sauce as well. So now I'm going to cut those in strips and then dice. Now, if these were hot peppers, I probably would take the seeds out, but they're not, and then they'll work out really well in our dish. All right, into the sauce they go. Now, we will give you the recipe below in the description. So we want to definitely share that with you. And we also want you to share with us in the comments any comments you have about making your own pasta or tomato sauce or pizza sauce. And I'd like to respond to those comments. So let me know, because we love to share. That's what we do as cooks and chefs, is that we share culinary information, tips, stories, lots of good things, because food is the center of all these activities. All right, let's cook those down a little bit. And so now I'm going to concentrate on the garlic. Garlic tends to burn, so you always see me adding that last when I'm cooking. So with the garlic, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a nice dice. And what I do is just make some vertical slices down like this, turn it around, and vertical slices like that. We'll gather them, and then we'll do a little bit of a mince. Okay. If you have that garlic on your fingers, what you want to do is to wash your hands afterwards using some stainless steel, soap and water, and it will neutralize that odor from the garlic. It'll do the same thing for onions and for fish. So that's a good thing to have. Sometimes you can buy those stainless steel, they call them smart bars. I've seen that called. But if you have a stainless steel teaspoon or a faucet at home, those would also neutralize any of those aromas or odors that are on your hands. I know when I was starting out cooking, one of the first jobs I had, they told me to make blue cheese dressing. And I had to make the blue cheese dressing by hand. And when I did that, I couldn't get that smell off of my fingers for 2 days. And because I slept on my hands, I didn't get much sleep either. So Had I known about that Smart Bar, I'd have had a nice night's sleep instead of smelling blue cheese. And the funny thing is, then I didn't like it when I was 18 years old, but today it's one of my favorite cheeses. Okay, our vegetables have been sweating in here. You can see the steam coming out of the pot. They're softening up, so now is the time to put in the garlic. And as you can tell, I'm making a lot of sauce, so when you see the recipe, it'll be of a smaller quantity, but you can decide. The good thing is you can double it or triple it, and it will come out just so good. Okay, so no reason why you wouldn't do this. I know when I used to live in Little Italy in New York, and I would visit the homes of my friends, and their mothers and grandmothers were making big pots of tomato sauce, because they were going to make the homemade raviolis, they were going to make the lasagnas, they were going to do the spaghettis, the tortellinis, all those wonderful things, which, by the way, by speaking, we're going to show you how to do it too. So you definitely want to subscribe to our channel, because we're going to make all those Italian goodies from my memory, from my youth, and also to yours. So wonderful memories that you'll be able to share over and over again. Okay, now, why am I sauteing the vegetables? Why don't I just throw everything in a pot and forget about it, right? We're not doing this because we are creating flavor. Remember, as I was adding the ingredients, I'm doing layer upon layer upon layer of flavor. That's what we're doing. We're layering on the flavors. The tomatoes are going to go in here in just a minute, but I want the sugar to come out of these vegetables. I want the sugar to hit the bottom of our pot and to explode the flavor, give it a whole new dimension, because when I put in the tomatoes will gather all of those goodies in there, and it'll become one. Okay, so just keeping that in mind. The smell here is just divine. We smell these vegetables, just oh my goodness, they smell so good. But we're not done. We've got herbs to put in here, right? We've got to test the seasonings. So in goes the sauces. So first I'm going to put in some chopped tomatoes. These are canned chopped tomatoes. You can see them right here. And I didn't drain the sauce off, okay? I want the sauce. I'm going to thicken our pasta sauce, our tomato sauce, by adding some tomato paste later. But right now, I want all of that. You know, I paid for it. Let's use it, right? Okay, here we go. Let's give that a good stir. What a nice sauce. And also, I said that we're making a marinara sauce. In a marinara sauce, you want to see the tomato pieces in there. So that's why I'm using some canned chopped tomatoes as well. Okay. Now, when you buy the canned products, look at the label. More than likely, it's going to tell you there's salt in there. But also, you may want to see if there's any spices in there. That would be something to consider when you're adding more spices later. Okay. These do not have any added spices in them, so we're going to pick those up. Now, to that, I have here some tomato puree. So in it goes. Tomato puree. I feel like I'm back in the restaurant business again. We're going to cook for many people, keeping them happy. Give it a little bit of a stir there. And now we're going to fortify our sauce. Isn't that a nice word? Fortify. And fortify is also similar to enrich. So whenever you hear a chef saying we're going to enrich the sauce, what they're meaning is something that's going to thicken it up. For example, butter, cream, or in this case, tomato paste. So we're going to enrich our sauce by adding in tomato paste. This will actually thicken the sauce as it's cooking. If you have tomato paste, say in a can like I do here, and you're not going to use the whole can, take it out, whatever you don't use, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then you can label it, date it, and place it in your freezer, okay? Or refrigerator for a shorter period of time. I tell you this because if you don't, it will turn black and you don't want to use it. You'll say, wow, I'm not eating that. And why waste something? You can also buy tomato paste in a tube, and this way you can just squirt out what you want, put the cap on like a toothpaste tube, put it in your refrigerator, and use it at a later date as well. All right, now we've enriched our tomato sauce, our pizza sauce, our pasta sauce. Oh, my word. We're gonna let this cook. Probably, I'm thinking about 20, 25 minutes. What's gonna happen, the vegetables are gonna continue to cook and soften up, and as the vegetables soften up, we're gonna be able to puree them in our food processor. Now, let's just do this. I got a few more, a little bit of paste in it. Let me give it another stir. I need to get that paste incorporated. On the cans of tomato products that we put in here, I looked on the back and it showed me a sodium level, which told me that there's salt in here. So the last ingredient I'm going to add, if necessary, is salt. How would I know? You got to taste. You never want to trust a chef that doesn't taste their own food. So I'm going to taste it, and I can tell if it needs anything. I like that. Doesn't need salt. It does need pepper. And the next ingredient I'm going to tell you, you won't believe me, but let me put the pepper in first. So when they can the tomatoes, they use an acid as a preservative. That acid, now we're going to counteract it. I taste just a little bit of acidic from there. I'm going to put some sugar. Would you believe that? Now, some of those jar tomato sauces that you see, turn them around and look at the label. You'll see that they counter the acid with sugar as well. So we're just going to put maybe a teaspoon or two of sugar in there. We'll taste it as we're going along. That might be sufficient. These are the tips I told you about earlier that you definitely want to stick around to the end, because we do have a lot to share with you. And as we're going along with the recipes, I'm just blurting them out, okay? So you may want to write them down, or you may just want to watch the video again. Speaking of which, when you do comment, I'm going to respond and share with you. But could you do also another thing for me is, if you enjoy this video, share it with your friends. Just hit that share button, hit the comment button, hit the like button, and then hit share, because there's so many people out there that enjoy making a good sauce, and why not share with those? That's what chefs do, don't we? We share. That's why we cook. People say, can you cook for one? I said, nope, but I'll teach you how to cook for two, because when you cook a wonderful meal, all you've got to do is invite somebody over, and they're there, okay? Well, our sauce now has been cooking for about a half an hour, and I'm just going to add the herbs in there. So initially, I don't put the herbs in at the very beginning, especially when they're fresh herbs. I want the flavor to just, be there as a bang at the end. If I had some dry herbs, then I would just put them in my hand and do like that to freshen them up, put it in there. But with the fresh herbs, I'm just going to go ahead and chop them up and put them in there now. So let's just take these herbs off the stems, for this is our oregano. And just roll it together. Give it a nice chop. Just back and forth like this. And immediately you get that wonderful aroma of the fresh herbs. In the pot it goes. We have some basil. So we take the basil leaves, and I'm going to put the basil leaves right on top of one another. I'm nesting them just like this. And then I'm going to roll them like this, and then place them on the board, and we're going to do what is called a chiffonade. And just cut them just in that manner. I've got some more ready to roll right here. We'll just roll them up, and to do the chiffonade. You can use as much basil as you like. I prefer it really. It's a little more sweeter than, say, the oregano. Marjoram is another wonderful herb to use too. And marjoram is also another nice herb to use. We're using today oregano and basil, all fresh. I'll place that into our sauce. Give it a good stir. And just let it cook for about 5 minutes. That's about tops. I already tested, be sure that the carrots were cooked and all, and it's just so good. All right, our sauce smells so good, looks so good. I'm gonna turn it off. We've had the herbs in there for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna take some and put it in a bowl. I want you to see what it looks like, okay? This is marinara sauce. So marinara sauce looks like this. You can actually see the ingredients in there. Look. So I'm going to tell you a little story, true story. The #1 pizza tomato sauce manufacturer, they came in a jar. Everybody copied and made the same thing. There was one tomato sauce. So this person from this think tank, he goes to the #1 pizza pasta sauce maker and says, you know, I want to do a test. I want to do 6 different sauces for pasta. We know there's a lot of sauces out there, but the only one you get in the supermarket is the one that's just a tomato sauce. And they told him, no, you know, we're #1. What do we got to worry about? You know, people don't want to know all those different sauces. So he said, okay. He went across the street to #2 pasta sauce maker, and guess what happened? They said, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it. So he did a blind testing, and in the blind testing, he had 6 different sauces. One of them was this sauce, which is the sauce everybody made before they pureed it and put it into a container. And then he had the one they pureed and put into the container, and then he had other sauces like pesto and Alfredo and those things. So at the end, nobody knew who made the sauce, even what kind of sauce they were tasting. All they had to do was evaluate the sauce and ask were they going to buy it in the supermarket if they could find it there in a jar or a can. What do you think the #1 was? This one, the marinara. And then the next question, why did you pick this as #1? And they said, because we could see the ingredients. Now I have to tell you, okay, if you can see the ingredients, this is something that people like to know. For example, what is the #1 vanilla ice cream in America? Everyone's going to say Breyer. And you know the reason they say that? Because we can see the vanilla beans in there. Well, before Breyers decided to do that, everybody made vanilla ice cream without the beans. Hershey's was #1. Still today, and this is back in the early 60s, still today, Breyers is still the #1 vanilla bean ice cream sold in America. What else can I tell you? Let's go ahead and puree this sauce, and now we're going to make a wonderful sauce for our pasta, pizza. Oh my goodness. Can't wait. Here's our sauce. This is our blender, food processor. Bring the container to the pot. Don't try to do vice versa. For one thing, it's up higher, and this is hot. So I'm bringing it over here, close, using a ladle. Don't fill it to the very top. If you do, things will start to explode and you'll have a mess to clean up, which will not be fun. Plus, this is a hot sauce. I added my favorite ingredients. You may want to change some up. Some people like a hot pepper. That's cool. Put it in there if that's what you want. You can also make a basic sauce and let people make their own. For example, I often call this my vegan tomato sauce because why? It's all vegetables. Olive oil, vegetables, no animal fats whatsoever. Okay, now every blender, every food processor has a little place where the air comes out, okay? It has to, or else it would explode on the inside. Place a towel over it. I'm only telling you this because I didn't do it one time, and oh, everything was red. Okay, so now we're going to blend it. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a pulse first, and then let it go. All right, you see why I had that towel over there? It's necessary. And there it is there. Let's go ahead and pour it into a bowl so you can see what it now looks like. Now we're going to pour it in there. Look how rich that is. Oh my word. Is that not good? That is so good. Let me get a spoon in there just so you can get a better look at it. Okay? This is the marinara, and this is the pasta sauce, before and after. Look. Now, as it cools, it's going to thicken up a little bit more. I suggest putting it into an airtight container, and then you can freeze it, you can refrigerate it. As I said earlier, you can share it. So, I hope you like this recipe. Please leave a comment. Please share with your friends, and also, please sign up, because we definitely want you to subscribe. It's so important to have you, and you know that I'll be able to share this. I'll reply to your comments. As always, our recipes are simple and delicious.